Welcome to the Contact Center Cactus Chat podcast. I'm your host, Eric Malvin, coming to you from sunny Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm your co-host, Jay Kayan from Dumaguete City, Philippines.
I'm a serial entrepreneur, started my first business 10 years ago, and 6 LLCs later, I started Pac Biz Contact Center Outsourcing in 2015. Today, we have over 200 employees and growing.
And I'm the operations manager here in Pac Biz, and I've been working with Eric since 2014, and I grew as the company grew.
So whether you're looking to outsource for the first time, whether you manage a contact center, or you're just looking to improve your customer experience, we'll be covering topics for you.
So business managers, operations managers, business owners, this is for you, so make sure to subscribe.
Welcome back to the show. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate all our listeners. And again, I'm joined in person in studio by our co-host. It's great to have you in Phoenix today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been nice. And, we were last week or this week, early this week, we were in Vegas. It looks like, it feels like a lot of that's happened already. But it's been fun. And thank you for inviting me over and here and doing the podcast live.
Yeah, and yesterday even had Jake hike Camelback Mountain with us. So if you guys know Phoenix and Camelback Mountain, made it to the top. Just we're not all in the best shape, so we got about an hour. Took about an hour to get to the top. Not bad time though. Yeah. I'm pretty proud of that time.
Yeah, it was like an accomplishment because I was looking up the mountain, how will I get that on the top? Like it's really high. It's not really high when you look at it from afar, but when you're at the feet of it, the bottom part, when you look up, and it's quite a challenge. But yeah, luckily we got there safe and come back also safe.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad we were able to get that hiking yesterday. And for businesses that maybe you're managing remote employees, so maybe that's why you're listening today. Maybe you're working with a call center like us that are managing remote employees. We have a lot of people working from home, and they're wondering, how do they do that successfully? How can I want to know what they're doing to make sure that they're actually doing a good job. So we're going to help answer some of those questions. And so might feel like a little bit like looking at the bottom of the mountain, looking up, that's really hard to accomplish. Mm-hmm. But we'll talk about how we've been able to do that over the last 3 years with COVID.
I believe that most of the companies were forced to do the work from home scheme because we were, we've been doing a lot of stuff, monitoring and, the setup is really perfect in the office and, we've been developing everything to work in the office until the pandemic time. We were forced to not to go to the office and stay at home and get forced to work from home. And there's so many issues that, a lot came up, and we were able to figure out how to deal with it, one by one, and because we don't tend to stop the work from home, and we want to continue letting people work at home or remotely, and make the office hybrid office that whoever wants to go and work in the office, they can, and they can also work back in their houses. So, if you guys would want to hear about something more about that, we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah, keep on listening. So, all right, as operations manager at Pac Biz, you oversee about 200 people. So at the peak of COVID, we had about 99% of the people working from home. Today, I think that numbers are right around 70%. Mm-hmm. So what are the biggest issues that you faced managing remote work, and what did you do as operations manager to overcome them?
Yeah, it's funny because we were expecting a lot of issues when we started the first day, second day. Yeah, they were pretty minimal, some connections, a little adjustments. But right after that, it went really smooth. People are excited to work because they're working at home, and there are no absences. If there are, there's somebody's gonna fill in, and they're gonna cover the shift, and until they get used to it, and the excitement fade. yeah, we started noticing that people are, lacking focus on their job. Possibly, since they're at their each houses, probably they're doing something or they're talking to somebody, and so that's the first problem that we saw, the lack of focus. So what we did was, we it's number one priority is the quality. So the QA department really took care of it, and with the extra monitoring of the agents who were working from home versus the agents who were working. There were still few working in the office at that time, and that's the lack of focus was was improved because of the help of the QA. And then we also do the line monitoring. So we use several platforms just to make sure that we see the agents that needed monitoring. And luckily, not all of them are needed to be monitored. So those were the challenges. And right now, it's already a privilege. It's not like I am employed with Pac Biz, so I have the right to be working at home. It's not like that. You need to provide all the things that needed, like to replicate the office environment, and the things that we have, the silence, and the reliable power and internet service. So those are the things that we have in the office, just to, or we ask from the employees so that they can work from home. So I want to ask you this, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been, you've been here in the U.S. and we are there, and that's another example of working remotely.
True. Yeah.
Have you had any problems or issues with that setup?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, that's one of the questions I get asked most often. Like, how do you manage everything in the U.S.? Like, and I think the second question they ask is, how often do you go back? Because I think people are thinking, like, man, I've got to see my team every day almost. I think people are backing away from that now because of more acceptance of working remotely, which, again, maybe why you're listening. But I do think I'm a bit unique because based in Phoenix, from day one, I had to manage people remotely. So from 2014, when we started operations in the Philippines and started taking calls for first business in my taxi company, then it was always remote. I think we've done a lot over the last 7 years of Pac Biz though to put things in place so that we can manage things smoothly. So like Basecamp, for example, is one of the things we put in place for communications. And it could be also, what's some of the other stuff? Like we put in EOS like 2 years ago. So with EOS, that helps give our company a lot of structure. And I think it's helping us be able to scale, and it helps us manage working remotely easier. And I think another thing that's also unique about us, which maybe gave us an advantage in this sense, is we've been 24/7 from day one. And so we've always had people like yourself that are managing people that you don't ever get to see because they work a different shift than you. They're never in the office the same time as you. And so we've always had to see, how do we manage just kind of, this person where we don't get to see them all the time. I mean, like I was saying, I've been working from home with Pac Biz, from the beginning of Pac Biz, actually from when I started my first business, 2011. And I think there's a ton of benefits to working from home. For me, when I'm on a Zoom call and I don't have to be as engaged, I could be off camera, I might be running a load of laundry or picking up the kids' toys in the house. So doing little things here and there to just make efficient use of my time. So I think it's great to be able to multitask, especially being a business owner, having to do a million things. That would be concerning, though, if it's a frontline agent and maybe they're trying to cook a meal for their family. Maybe they're trying to do something where you need to be in front of a computer and you need to be focused. Might not be a long Zoom meeting with a team, and you got a little bit of time in there. So those distractions definitely could take the focus away from the agents. So tell me more about how do we manage that?
Yes, of course. We always monitor them, and on the monitoring, we can see patterns like the enthusiasm in answering the calls is kind of low, and there's a mood change, and of course, there's also the number of rings that it would take before they answer the calls. Others are not doing automatic answering, so they do it manually. So those things, those are the patterns that we saw that needed the help or needed improvement. So there's a role for the QA. They always catch those things or issues, and also with the supervisor, we have this wallboard for all the call takers. So we can see if they've been on the phone for too long. Because if you're not excited to work, of course, there are so many things that you'd have in mind just to avoid doing the job. So part of it is just keeping the customer in the line. That's another thing, and it's delaying everything. Like the customer wasting his time, and at the same time, if that should be. The agent should supposed to be talking to him to a different person, and because of that delay, those things. So luckily we were able to catch those things, and right now I don't see anything, but I'm not really sure about this, but I think all the things that that they're trying to play, when they're trying to play around while working, we already know about those. So when they're trying to pull something, we already know. So that's a good thing about really taking time monitoring and catching those things. And that's the most challenging part of working remotely, and also you can't see how sleepy the code taker is. And like when you're in the office, like you can see the behavior or the face to be exact. And that's the one disadvantage of remote working. And you don't, I hope we're not gonna get this problem. We don't have it yet, but if they drink while at home, we don't know that. We can't see that. So that's another problem to monitor. But with the help of this technology, we have this. Before we started using the conference call, they have it play while they're working, so we can see them. We can talk to them. And other conference call platforms also have improved, where we can also hear the customers. Mm-hmm. So those things have also improved along with the needs of the monitoring and the call centers who needed those. And those are the things that we have. And luckily we were able to figure out how to deal with it. And I have a question for you again. So for the clients, they may be never had had work from home employees. Mm-hmm. So what are their concerns about hearing that you offer work from home program?
Yeah, I think when we're talking to new businesses and they're learning that we do have work from home in place, they start having questions, like maybe because of the challenges that they've had overcoming or trying to manage that themselves. And so, they start asking, how is that set up? What do you do to make sure that this and this happen? I think I hear it a lot from the clients where their business has been around for 20, 30, 40 years. They've had a call center. Funny story I like to tell. We were visiting one of my wife's clients in the transportation industry last year, and they were telling me about how when COVID started and they had everyone working from home, they couldn't figure out how to lock the doors of their building because they've always been 24/7. They're like, we never had to lock the doors. now that everyone's working remotely, like we had to get a locksmith in to figure it out. Like they didn't have the keys for the locks anymore, and so things are changing, and more businesses are accepting work from home. But for a lot of people still out there, they haven't actually, and they have people working in the office, and so they're concerned when they're talking to us. I think it depends on what they're looking for. If it's healthcare related, then and HIPAA comes into play here in the U.S., then yeah, that could be a big deal. And we'd have to have them work from the office because they have a separate space in the office just for healthcare clients. But if it's not healthcare, if it's not something that requires an office space, if there isn't like data security involved where we have to have them in our secure office, then we manage all the devices remotely. Our IT team, we have 24/7 IT team that supports it, and yeah, we have people working from home pretty safely. So I try to push back a little bit, like, think about letting us have the employee work from home after a couple months if they qualify. One of the things at Pac Biz too is working from home. We look at it and we treat it like a privilege, right? Like it's not like you have a right to work from home, right? Tell me about that.
Yeah, because we let them work from home, but also there are so many things that we consider. They need to have a stable internet connection, at least two. There should be a backup, and backup power pack to continue working up to 12 hours. We have that in the office with our device, and also with the background noises. And those are the things. And they should always ask if they are planning to transfer to a different place, probably a relative's place, and they would decide to work there. Should ask permission from the ID and check the internet connection over there if it's enough to take calls. So those things. So another thing that I noticed for the past 3 years, call takers are, especially to those who are working from home, probably the excitement is already gone, and the mood changes. Like, the excitement is no longer there. So what we do is we will invite them to work in the office. Just schedule to meet their old buddies in the office, and get to chat around while working, like pre-COVID setup. Mm-hmm. And then the energy goes back, and it really helps. And that's why we have this hybrid model of office in Dumaguete for Pac Biz.
Yeah, I've been kind of really pushing for that, especially at Pac Biz. If you guys don't know, I think it's something I shared in previous episodes. The very first person we ever hired at our company has been the director of company culture since about 20 employees. Keisha is that position at Pac Biz, and it's really hard to build culture when you don't ever get to see each other. And so she's had a tough task of trying to keep the culture going. Although we've been able to do it, we have kept it going. I feel like there's a lot of really cool things that we have done, and now that things have been getting back to normal, we're starting to do a lot of the activities we used to do before. But it is different because now you're not coming to the office as much. And I think you were already here for Halloween, but did you get a chance to see any of the decorations for Halloween, or did you already take off?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally we used to have the biggest Halloween decorations in the office. And if you check out some of our social media and scroll back to Halloween time, you'll see a video I shared of what we were able to do this year. Mm-hmm. The last couple years, and this is what the culture department put together, we even did a contest where they decorated their work from home setup, right?
Yeah, they did. And, those things that the same challenges for the culture, like people are not showing up sometimes. They tend to be probably feeling safe just staying at home, and they're not participating in all the activities. And lately they have been going out, and I can see people working in the office, and even helping other stuff like decorating and preparing for the Halloween. And I can see those photos, and yeah, it's fun that culture was able to pull it off, even if we had this pandemic for 2 years, and yeah, the relationship, the culture, the all the all the things that we used to have during before the pandemic, is slowly going back. So this is, yeah, the challenge is, it's slowly going away. Like, we're going back to normal, but still we still have people who are working from home, and that makes us different from others. And yeah, we're embracing it, since we see that there's a way to make it work. So we will continue giving employees the setup or a chance to work with their families at home.
Yep, that's for sure. Family being one of the top core values at Pac Biz. What better way to promote that core value than continuing to allow work from home where they could be with family if they could, meet the privilege of, providing the level of support we're looking for from them. So hybrid model is here to stay. Working from home is here to stay. Although we still have 30% of the people working out of the office right now. So it's not like everybody's working from home. And I'm sure we'll start seeing that number creep up more as things, the Philippines have been a little behind in the U.S. and U.K. and Canada as far as COVID. Some of the restrictions are just now in November 2022 just being lifted. So they're starting to feel more comfortable doing more events. And so sure we'll see more people working out of the office, but we're excited to continue to offer work from home. So that about wraps up our conversation on remote work, challenges of managing remote work. And I hope you guys can see, maybe at first it was like a daunting task. How do we get up this mountain of remote work? And we showed you some of the paths up to the top of that mountain. And yeah, it is possible. And if you don't want to deal with it, hey, that's what we're here for. If it's customer support, customer experience, virtual assisting, there's a lot that we could do here at Pac Biz to help out. So you don't have to take on that challenge. We take it on for you. And then you deal with people like Jake, who's also the account manager for some of our clients.
Yeah, not to mention that we already figured out what to do. So it's very safe to do the work from home setup. And of course, it would be considered what type of account, what type of industry you're working, where your business is. So but yeah, if you need anything, you need help, and you're interested in working with us, just keep on listening. If you need some more information, we still have future podcast recordings and a lot of topics, and we also have already uploaded several topics that you might need to know.
Yeah, so go check out some of the past episodes, because here, as you already hopefully realized, we talk about outsourcing, we talk about customer experience, managing call centers, and so we hope you found something valuable today. And you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Full episodes are on YouTube, so you get to see us in person interacting. So, but want to thank you guys for listening to this show. I think Jake and I have gone a little longer these last couple episodes because we're in person, so got a little bit more to say than normal. But thank you guys for listening, and appreciate it. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
See you on the next episode. See you there.
See you.